Author Rick Riordan captured the world's imagination with the Percy Jackson series, now with his new series, The Trials of Apollo, The Tyrant's Tomb. And Rick joins me right now. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Jeff.
Good morning. Greetings from Las Vegas.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for speaking to me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
So what's Lester up to this time?
Well, The Trials of Apollo has been a blast to write about because it is from the point of view of an immortal god, Apollo. However, he's been grounded by his dad Zeus. He's been turned into a 16-year-old kid with no powers, and he has to find his way through America doing all of these different quests, hoping that he will eventually get back into his dad's good graces. Now we're at book 4, The Tyrant's Tomb. Things are really heating up. Poor Lester, as he's called in mortal terms, is now heading to the San Francisco Bay Area. There are some Roman demigods there. He's hoping he can just kind of hang out and have a break with them, but as you can imagine, no such luck. They're about to be attacked by evil Roman emperors who want to take over the world, the usual thing for Roman emperors. And it's not going to go well for poor Apollo.
Now, as you did with the Percy Jackson series, where was the inspiration to use mythology in a modern setting? Did you watch a lot of Sinbad movies in your younger days?
Well, you got me on the Sinbad movies. I do love those. And the old Jason and the Argonauts with the claymation. Those, I grew up on those, and those were fantastic. I don't know. I've always loved mythology, so that's always been there. I was a middle school teacher, so I always loved teaching mythology to kids. But the inspiration for Percy Jackson was much more personal. It really started with my own son when he was about 8 years old. He was diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia and was struggling in school. And one day, as a bedtime story, I made up a Greek hero, Percy Jackson, and he also had ADHD and dyslexia. I told my son that those two learning differences were a pretty good indication that you might be a demigod. It completely changed the way my son saw himself and his struggles in school, and Percy Jackson was born.
Have you used other real-life experiences for your characters in your book?
Well, especially in the early books, even before I knew they were going to get published, I put some Easter eggs in there with names of students I had taught in the past, names of some teachers that I had taught with. Mrs. Dodds, the evil math teacher, is based on a real math teacher whose name was Mrs. Dodds. Many of the characters in Percy Jackson are named after former students, just as kind of a wave to say hello. Yeah, I mean, inspiration comes from anywhere. It's all over the place, from my travels, from my readings, and absolutely from my life as a teacher.
Now, I'm sure your fans want to know this, especially with an author. Take me through a typical writing session.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think there is anything such as a typical session for me. I think if you asked a dozen writers, you'd probably get a dozen different answers. For me, I simply try to write a little bit every day, but depending on where I am in the process, that may look very different. If I'm in the brainstorming phase, I may not really write much down at all. I may be mostly just pondering and thinking. And it took me a few years to figure out that that's valid. That's a perfectly fine part of the process. Other days, if I'm in the revision phase, I may sit at the computer for 16 hours and just go at it and really, really try to get through it. So it varies. I think the main thing I would say is you learn to listen to your own mind and where your productivity is the best. For me, that tends to be early morning. If I try to write in the afternoon, forget it. I won't get anything done. But everyone is different.
Now, your books cross all ages, but I would think you would target specifically middle schoolers. Is that what you're aiming at?
Well, that is always the target I have in mind, is those middle school kids. I taught them, for many years, and I have a lot of empathy for what kids go through in middle school. It's such a crucial time, and they feel so in between in every possible way, which I think is one reason demigods who are in between worlds also is one reason they appeal to middle schoolers. However, I've learned not to guess. I mean, I have readers that are as young as 8 and readers as old as 80 who just enjoy a good story. So I've learned to say, look, if you enjoy the books, then you're the right age.
Now, Rick, how active are you on social media? Can fans interact with you?
I am active on social media. Yeah, I have a great following. I'm very lucky on Twitter. My handle is Camp Half-Blood, after Percy's camp. And I'm just Rick Riordan on Instagram. So yes, absolutely. I am out there and interact as much as I can. I'm very easily distracted. So I do have to, at times, kind of screen myself from too much of the social media, or I'd never get anything done. But it's always great to hear from the fans.
Now, you're going on tour with this new book. Tell me about the fan interaction when you meet them in cities all over across the country.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. We're going to do eight cities in 8 days, thousands of kids, and to walk into an auditorium and see just 1,000 kids getting so enthusiastic and screaming and yelling and waving their books. And these are kids who are there not for a rock concert, they're not there for a social media star, they're there about a book that they love. That is so uplifting, and it makes me so optimistic about the young generation coming up. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Well, Rick, Las Vegas has the 5th largest school district, so hopefully you'll stop by on your tour here in Las Vegas. But if not, come by and visit us. We'd love to see you.
I always love Las Vegas. Thank you so much.
The Trials of Apollo, The Tyrant's Tomb is now available in bookstores. And for more reviews and interviews, just surf on over to my website at vegasfilmcritic.com. I'm Jeffrey K. Howard in Las Vegas. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.